Your authenticity will make you richer. It will make you happier, healthier, more abundant, more spacious, and definitely make you millions of dollars. Over the last couple of months, I've noticed that the women coming to the Prosperous Womb are no longer chasing high income months. They're not coming in because they want to make the $1 million years. Money is no longer their end game. They're coming in to sit in the ocean for more satisfaction, more fulfillment, more creativity, more play, more freedom, more spaciousness. And they're taking time to reflect, to see who God is calling them to be for the highest expression of Him in their work, in their premium coaching offers. Which means when they actually serve deeper with their premium coaching offers, they're going to make millions of dollars just being who God says they are. And they're trading performance and strategies and systems and scripts for their play, the childlike faith that God put in them, to go back into their imagination, their creativity, and tap into the memory of who God says He is in them and who God says they are, so that they can create offers that actually serve deeper, that meet the needs and go beyond the needs of their clients, the clients who see the offers and say, oh my God, where have you been all my life? And invest within 24 hours of meeting them. They're no longer taking mediocre offers and then up-leveling those offers. No, they're actually asking questions, better questions. What does this new offer require of me? Who does it say that I be for myself, for my client? How do I step fully into my assignment? Where do you, in your coaching business, where are you allowing mediocrity to bully you? You know, women come in and they say, what are people going to say about me when I'm, selling a 100K offer, 250K or $1 million offer? Yeah, people are going to say crap to you. They're going to think, who the hell do you think you are? Where do you get off selling this when I'm still selling my 5K offer or my 10K offer? And here's the thing. Never allow someone else's limitation to bully you into mediocrity. People are going to tell you how to think, who to be. There are masterminds that are going to give you a formula and a template, sales systems for 10K offers, 25K offers. And they're going to say, when you do a 25K, then you go to 100K. But what is God saying to you in this season? How is God shaping you in this season for the work that you're here to do? Where do you stop and disconnect from the limitations, disconnect from the opinions of others, disconnect from the performance, and just show up free, alive, full, complete, whole, already satisfied, where the goal is not a place to get to. The $1 million becomes a place to come from, because God in you, the hope of glory, if you have the person who, the spirit who created all of this is inside of you, and you're limiting yourself to a 30K month. Seriously? The sky is not even the limit. What does your next season require of you? What does your premium coaching offer require of you? In this time of reflection, who is Caleb? Who is your client, the premium coaching client? What is the premium coaching outcome? What is the highest expression of the value that God is sharing through you? I think of my Sunday school kids where they're just themselves. They haven't yet learned how to perform. They're giving themselves the grace to run their race at their own pace. Where in your coaching business are you giving yourself the grace to run your race at your own pace? Where you're taking a step back, and from the outside looking in, it looks like you're taking 30 steps back because you're no longer chasing high income months. But what's really happening is you're no longer playing with a blueprint. You're no longer squeezing what God has for you into a bucket or a teaspoon or a cup. You sit in the ocean. All of it. You own all of it, all of the thing that God says you are, the magic, the shadows, the gifts. One of my clients said to me the other day, think about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all of these current millionaires, billionaires, trillionaires, whoever they are. When they started, they did not start because they knew they were going to make $1 million, okay? They started with the gift that God had given them. And you who are saying to yourself, you're partnering with God, with Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, you're Christian, you're spiritual, you're faith-led. How are you taking the gifts that God has given you? If Jeff and Elon and all these people can do the thing that God has given them, and then money comes from that, how can you be a balm in the world where the thing that God has given you becomes more money, more life, more health, more wealth, more abundance, more prosperity, more joy, more celebration for the people that God has put you here to bless, for your clients, for the kingdom of God here on earth? How can you take the things that shape who God says you are and serve deeper from that place? What does that look like for you when you walk away from the mediocrity, when you walk away from what other people think about you, when you walk away from the fear that wants to bully you, and you take faith and say, how can my faith calm these anxious thoughts? Because the thoughts will come, but they don't stop us. People are going to think you're crazy because you're no longer chasing the scripts and the systems. People say to me, you're crazy. You know, in West Africa, we say God fetches water in a basket to disgrace the bucket. Because everybody thinks there's a certain way you have to do things because they're your source. No, God is my source. So he uses the things of the foolish to confound the wise. Because nobody knows what God has put in your heart. Nobody knows what God is calling you to do. Who God is calling you to be now in this season. What does that look like for you? What does authentic look like for you? What does finally awakening to the memory that you're here to co-create with God, what does that look like for you? And how does that show up in your life now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now? How does it shape how it affects your children? One of the biggest things I invite my clients to do in the Prosperous Womb when we're co-creating together, their high-ticket offers, whatever it is for them, or their sales, or whatever it is to show up every day in the world so that your nervous system and the people in your life have a sense that you met with the Holy Spirit this morning. That every moment of your day should reflect to you and your nervous system and your thoughts and your beliefs and your actions that you met with God today. Because when you do, you step out in faith and you allow God to cover you. You show up with gratitude. You show up in your assignment. You show up with freedom. You show up with play. You show up the way your favorite pet shows up. Just being who God says they are. And you have the spirit of wisdom, the spirit of knowledge, the spirit of understanding, the spirit of revelation, the spirit of counsel, the spirit of fear of the Lord, the spirit of God, the spirit of power, sound mind, the spirit of love. That trumps the blueprint, the script, the system. It trumps every limiting thought that's coming through you. And you're not distracted by the thoughts that say, who do you think you are? I don't think you can do this. You're not qualified, you're not expert enough. You start being the expert and you start having human to human connections and love, better relationships, and you whisper to your friend, to her soul, your client. It's not a person on the internet. It becomes this divine human being that God, out of 8 billion people on the planet, there's this one person in front of you in a sales conversation, and she comes to you because she has a horse and she wants a faster horse. And everybody else says, yes, I have a 10K horse, a faster horse, let me give it to you. And then you say to her, this is what a faster horse looks like. This is what a train looks like. What is God calling you to do in this season of your parenting, of your life, of your relationship, of your business? What will the train look like? What will the jet plane look like? Not from a place of luxury, but from a place of you just being who God says you are. What will it look like when you don't need to lose the weight so that your husband can love you? When you can just love yourself and that your husband sees how much you love yourself and can't help but love you. When you're no longer working with clients and going on social media and saying, I can help you lose 20 pounds and fit into your skinny jeans. But when you speak to the woman who for the last 5 years, all she's wanted was for her husband to look at her the way he did on their wedding night. And when you can speak to that, she says, oh my God, how did she see me? Everyone else has been telling me how to fit into my skinny white jeans. And you're the only one that sees that all I want is for my husband to look at me the way he did on my wedding night. And then she sees for the first time that it's not about her husband looking at her that way. It's about who God says she is for herself that will allow her husband to see her the way she sees herself. This is what we do in God Made Women Millionaires, in the Prosperous Womb. It's how we take content and we make them into love letters. So we're not creating content on the internet. We're not talking to people on the internet. But we're looking at the divine beings who have these human bodies. And we're talking to them, to their heart, to see what's most useful to them, what is valuable to them. We don't have to wear makeup. We don't have to wear the suits. We don't have to look like I don't know who. We just look like ourselves. And nobody sees what we're wearing or what we look like or what our hair looks like or whether we wear makeup or we don't. All they see is the highest expression of God through you, calling out to them to remember to come back home, a lighthouse. They don't see the blueprints because we don't need them. They don't see the systems. You can ask questions. You can ask people what they want. You can listen to what people are saying to you in a sales conversation without the script. What has them want the thing? What is most useful about them having the thing? What is most important to them about them having the thing? And when they have the thing, how will they know they have it? So many women are chasing $1 million months. Then they get $1 million month. They don't know they have it. The CPA says it to them 5 months from now. They go, oh my gosh, Mimi, I didn't even know I'd crossed the $1 million line. How will you know when you have it? Wisdom is not just chasing the thing. It's knowing when you're satisfied. It's knowing when you've had enough. So you don't have to finish the plate. You can walk away. Because your premium coaching clients, when you come from your authentic self, they don't leave comments. They don't like, comment, or subscribe. They don't email you to tell you how great you are. They apply to work with you. They don't need the validation. You don't need the applause. You just simply show up and be who God says you are. When you awaken to the memory that you're here to co-create with God as God's favorite daughter, as God's favorite child, what is that memory? What does it look like? What is the highest expression of God in and through you? What happens when you believe you can fly? When you disconnect from the limitations that become really dangerous to the thoughts that say, but you can't. And you say, it's not me, it's God. God can. Not the God in the sky with the blonde hair blown in the wind and the blue eyes. I don't know that God. The God in you. The one that fearfully and wonderfully made you while you were in your mother's womb. Who put all these things in you, the things that you've shamed, that you've judged, that you've criticized. When your clients see the window through which you see their challenge, their opportunity, their problem, their desire, it changes how they see the thing. It reminds them of who they are. It reminds them to take the dream off the pedestal. It reminds them that they get to come from this place. There's no goal. We just get to live fully. There's no destination. We're all going to die. That's the only place to get to. We're all going to die. But what does the journey look like? What is the time that you wake up in the morning to the time you go to sleep at night? What does that look like? What is real about that time? How does your kid know that you met with God this morning? How does your client know that you met with God without telling them? How does it show up in your nervous system? How does it show up in the way you say the investment to work with me is $1 million? In God Made We're Millionaires, we have this thing where we create bedtime stories for our kids with the investment to work with me, where we share our love letters and our content by creating magical stories for our kids before they go to sleep at night, where we share stories with each other of our lives and we live our lives and let that reflect who God says we are without changing ourselves, putting ourselves in a box, where we allow ourselves to sit in the ocean and not carry a teaspoon or a bucket to get the ocean water. We just sit in it. It's who we are because it's who God is, a good, good Father. So how do you show up? Being authentic, it'll make you rich. It'll make you happy. It'll make you well. It'll make you spacious. It'll make you abundant and freedom. And it will remind your nervous system that you met with Jesus before you stepped out of bed this morning. In the Prosperous Womb, in God Made Me Millionaires, we're not self-made. We're God-made because we're brave enough to be scared enough to do the thing that God has put in our hearts. So that the millions, the thousands, the hundreds, whatever cash money you make, it becomes a healing balm in the world for more love, more joy, more congratulations, more health for your clients, more wealth for your clients, more laughter for your clients, more kids for the person who wants kids, more relationship for the person who wants a better relationship with her spouse, more communication. It becomes more of everything that God says we already have. But most importantly, we each move through the world as Christ in us, the hope of glory. If you want to go deeper into selling, serving, working from who God says you are, by taking a step back from the chasing and sit in the quiet of the power that God has given you, then apply to work with me in God Made Me Millionaires. Just go to high-ticketsaleswomen.com. And if you're not ready, then get on the email list so you can join that community of women who say the investment to work with me is $1 million, not because I'm the best, not because I'm the authority, not because I'm the expert, but simply because of God's highest expression in and through me. And I will not put a ceiling on it to make you feel good about your mediocrity.